Hello, everyone. We are officially live. Welcome to this Spotlight Series interview. I'm here today with the wonderful AgileBill. Thank you for being here.
You bet.
And for those of you who are new to this series of interviews, first of all, welcome, and I'm happy you're here. The Spotlight Series is something that I do with students inside my class learning sound and synthesis. And the intention behind these discussions is first to celebrate and showcase the amazing people who are inside of this learning sound and synthesis community, what they're up to, how they're learning, what's helping them learn. And the second big intention is to kind of demystify the process of learning synthesis for all of you, the folks who are watching. And we get to learn from not just me, but also them as well, which is very, very valuable. So let's start off. Do you want to give us a little introduction to who you are and maybe what you're interested in creatively? I know that's a
Oh,
big can of worms.
absolutely. Happy to do that. Hello, my name's AgileBill, uh, and I'm excited about music. I took a break for 40 years to do a career in technical stuff and geeky things, and I'm really excited to have time to come back and do music stuff. In my youth, I enjoyed playing on my parents' Yamaha FM keyboard.
Cool.
That was awesome, right? Um, and I am kind of a French horn player by nature. But I love my toys, like these cool electronic things. I had to have them so I could play with the knobs. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that's just too cool. But I was very confused about exactly what they were, how to do that.
Yeah, fair. Okay. So one thing you said that I actually would love to talk about, we didn't talk about this before, so I'm already throwing you a curveball. We're 2 minutes in. But you said something that I know will resonate with a lot of people, which is that I took a lot of time off. I don't remember the exact number of years. I took X number of years off from music to do it for my career. This is something I know a lot of people can relate to, whether you're taking decades off for your career or your family stuff or just other passions. The process of getting back in or getting in for the first time can be really difficult. And I know there's a lot of people in the community who sometimes say things like, well, I don't know, maybe it's too late. Maybe I missed my chance. Maybe I'm too old. Maybe I'm blah, 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 too far behind. So I'd love to just touch on that right out the gates. What went through your mind? Because clearly you didn't believe that. Maybe you thought those things. I don't know. But you decided, I'm jumping in.
That's a brilliant point. Like, so I played in orchestras. I was, principal French horn, blah, 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 right? Composed my own horn duets. And but then you shift to career mode and family mode. And then you're at the top of your game professionally, and you're the great person of this craft you do for your job. And so it's really different coming back, and you kind of picture yourself as, this expert. And then it's like, hey, now I'm in beginner mode again. So I gave myself permission to be that.
I love that.
Like, I'm not here to make the greatest track for you guys to all buy and I make money. That's I decided that's
Yeah.
not the goal here. The goal here is to dabble and learn and enjoy for the sake of learning.
Oh, I love that. It must be so freeing too.
Really is. And I tell you, it's a big shock when you make a career pivot to be like full-time student or retired or whatever, and you miss the structure and activity and people. And so you were my cure for the retirement blues.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. But I think this point, I want to kind of echo something you said, which is that you gave yourself permission to be the beginner. I just think there's so much wisdom in that alone. That could be this whole interview. I love it. Sometimes we put so much pressure on ourselves, especially as we get older. It's like, oh, I should know this by now, and we're embarrassed or we're just uncomfortable with being a beginner. But if the more that we can put ourselves in that kind of childish state of like, wow, I have no idea what's happening. Cool. Let's find out. I remember, I'm going to digress a tiny bit and then I promise we'll get back to you. But I remember meeting this amazing cellist who every time they would screw up, like they'd play a wrong note or they would just flub something, instead of going, oh, dang, I really should have known, I really should have done better. They would go, how fascinating. How fascinating was that mistake? It opens a door to like my next up leveling of skill. And I was like, I just remember watching them thinking, gosh, that is such a good attitude to have, right? How
Is that how
fascinating.
jazz was invented? I think Miles Davis said something like that.
Yeah. Well, I just think there's so much to learn there. So thank you for saying that.
Most
Um,
welcome.
okay. So let's talk a little bit more about your, I guess, your journey into synthesis. You had these instruments that you love to play, but you weren't quite understanding, or you're finding them confusing. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you the difference between a VCA and a VCO.
Hmm.
I mean, I saw the labels on the keyboards and I loved the sounds and playing with the knobs. And I didn't want to look dumb, so I kind of say like I knew what I was talking about. I had no clue. And your videos really helped me in a good, calm, engaging manner to kind of really understand not just how to use them, which is nice, but a little bit more of the theory and background behind it. So I thought that was spot on.
Oh, great. I'm glad that those were helpful. Um, so as you were getting into things, I'm curious, what was the decision point for you to jump in to take a class? Was it just like, I've made enough sounds with this thing, I want to know why why it's making the sound it's making, or was there something else?
Yeah, well, I watched my share of YouTube videos, which
Okay.
is, wonderful. But I feel like the missing ingredient is the community, which is
Oh,
something you do well, I think. And shout out to the staff you've assembled of awesome teachers as well. Like you've got assistants that are gurus. They're
they're
nice
amazing.
people. So for me, for my style of learning, like there's a social element to it uh, that I also like from formal classes. But I find you've got a good blend there of the people and the anytime learning videos and the chat and all that. So, yeah. So I went back to
Yeah.
school to learn how to do basically world music because I got hooked on Middle Eastern scales because I got
Oh
24
yeah.
notes. More
Oh,
is
love it.
better, right?
Yeah, more notes. Yeah, absolutely. Cool, great. So yeah, the community aspect is huge. And even I want to say, even for those out there, those of you who are out there who aren't in a class, or you maybe that's not on your, maybe not possible for you at the moment. Um, Anywhere that you can find like a forum, or reach out, send me a DM, anything like that, just starting to form that community can be such a helpful thing, because I've heard from so many of you in our DMs that you feel that you're kind of the only one out there who's curious about this stuff. And let me just say, you are not the only one. You are not the only person who's like, wow, I love this crazy sound, and I think it's so cool to, play with these knobs and cables. Like, there are so many people out there who get it and love it and are with you. So finding that community can be such a helpful thing. I completely agree. All right, let's fast forward. So you jumped in to the class, you've been learning. What has changed for you? What are you doing now that you weren't doing before? Basically, I just want you to take a minute to brag about anything you're proud of. um,
That'll be a short interview then. So,
oh, come on.
yeah, so I think this really helped me fill the voids and gaps in my musical life. I was confused by all the acoustic or sampled or FM frequency modulation, and of course my beloved voltage knobs. But I didn't
Yeah,
quite see all the differences, how they fit together. And I learned you did a cool thing by mixing students of different levels in the community, because I learned from people that do this for a living in the class, and also people that are brand new or in a similar boat to me, like
yeah.
recovering, returning. So that was a big accomplishment for me, is to be able to dabble in with confidence and enjoy it for the art of working it. In addition to just straight up learning how to do it, you also have courses, I think, on like performing, because that's what's cool
Mhm.
about modular as opposed to just shoving a mouse around, on the computer instruments. It's like you could do this live.
Oh, absolutely. And the options are endless in terms of the ways you can set it up. Absolutely. What do you see yourself uh, moving into? Do you have any kind of projects maybe that are? I don't think we talked about this before either, so I'm just throwing you all the curveballs. But I'm curious. Like, do you have any projects that you're dreaming about, or next steps in your learning that you're excited about?
Yeah. So my deal is the year 1500 and the year 2500, like those wild extremes. I want to include like the everything from a reed growing in the water somewhere, turn it into an instrument, to all my electronic knobs. So whether it's voltage or a soft synth on the computer, or an acoustic instrument. Um, I
I
want to,
love
or AI, even AI. Sorry, but it's how do those fit? In part for the joy of learning, and in part to throw some love and respect to different styles of inclusive music.
That's so cool. So you by 1500 to 2500, you mean like music and sound from those periods?
Yeah, not the stuff in the middle. Like you guys got that covered very nicely. Like I can go stream great music.
So you're looking way back and way forward. I think that's so cool. I love that. And combining them together into one practice. I think that's beautiful. You know, this makes me think of something else that I just want to emphasize for folks, which is um, combining all of your interests. I am such a big believer that the more that you combine all the things you're curious about, the better it will all be. The happier you will be, the more engaged you'll be with your practice. And ultimately, if I may be so bold as to say, the better your music will be as a result. So you have this really cool interest in like music from 1500 and imagining what future music could be. That's uniquely you. And I love that. And someone else might be, a classical violinist who also makes techno. And I think that's wonderful too. And so for all of you out there who are listening, I know that you're out there. Let me know in the comments if this is you, if you relate to this, that you have like a really diverse practice. And you've sometimes wondered, how do I juggle all of this? Because I'm a classical pianist over here and I want to make dance music over here. And have you ever considered the possibility of putting them together? That's my question for all of you. So yeah, okay. I'm curious. One question that I love to ask folks is if you maybe could think back to either yourself a few months ago when you were feeling a little bit uncertain. Actually, before we get into this question, I want to, because I'm kind of jumping out of order here. You did mention to me that you were feeling a little bit uncertain, kind of about jumping into the world of synthesis, maybe unsure of your ability. Do you mind talking a little bit more about that?
Sure. I love the effect of turning the knob and having it click in and create some sound never heard before in the universe. Some resonance between the oscillators, the LFO. It just amazes me. On the other
Yeah.
hand, it's not necessarily something my family would want to hear. Like it's, turn that off, put on headphones. So I'm a little nervous about being embarrassed by lack of skill or bad noises, but I get so addicted to just getting in the zone of riffing and jamming on this stuff. I
Yeah.
love it. So I think after the course, it's really helped me gain confidence to have some intention behind, I need to throw in a filter here. Like now I know
Sure.
what that means.
There you go. So, but I love this topic of like bad music, and I want to just unpack it for a second if you're willing to play along,
Please.
because I think this is really a big one. So, also folks watching and listening, let me know if you've ever had that experience or someone's like, I don't get this. What are you doing? But what I heard from you, Agile, is that you're deriving so much joy from it. Like you're just like, oh my God, this is so fun. Um, I feel like that's more than enough. I'm curious what you think about that.
I'm glad you asked. Yeah. So for the epiphany I had, like we're kind of conditioned, like we got to produce and make money and all that. And I think I find just dabbling in the course, like going as a perpetual student, taking the courses, I love that community and vibe. So learning is one thing.
Yeah.
Just playing for my own fun, jamming, I don't even record it. That's another mode of
Yeah.
fun. And you could share something and enjoy the audience reaction or becoming famous. Those are all like my work. We teach, well, what do your customers want, right? And it's widely different,
Yeah.
and that's what fascinated me. So yes, bad. Like I had someone say, "Oh, that's a bad note." I was trained. We get out a tuner and make sure you didn't have any bad notes. When I find out in some like India or Middle East, or whatever, they got a lot of notes in their scale. That's not a bad note. That's part of your RAST scale. Oh my gosh!
Right.
Like names. I find that interesting. Same thing with the creativity you get from modular.
Yeah. Exactly. So what I love to play around with is thinking a little bit about like, is it bad music or is it just unfamiliar? Right? And
I
I
love
think that
that.
that could open up a lot. So when someone's like, I don't get it, I don't like it, this is bad, in my experience, a lot of the time it's maybe because they don't have the words for it. They've never heard it before. They don't know how to connect to it or relate to it. It could also genuinely be that they don't like it, but it might not be because it's inherently bad. It might just be not their taste.
Right. That's
And
fine.
that's totally fine. That's what art is all about. Like, it would be so boring if it was just like for everyone all the time, right? The beauty of it is that it's so subjective. So yeah, I'm so happy that you are really embracing that aspect of, just I'm making this for fun. I'm making it because it's fun. And if you do ever decide to share it with other people, the audience reaction will be an interesting part, but it's not the whole reason why you're embarking on this journey. And I'm really glad that you didn't let that stop you from getting started. That kind of fear of, ooh, what if I can't make a good, quote unquote, good song?
Indeed. Yeah, that was a huge leap. That was a huge bridge for me. And I think, it helps to be around people learning to do that.
Yeah, I'm so happy to hear that. Something that we do a lot, those of you who are in my classes, you've been there. I like to ask really big questions that seem obvious, but actually have a lot of depth to them. They seem obvious on the surface, but when you think about them, they have a lot of depth. Things like, what is music? What is composition? And when I ask them, a lot of the time, my students were like, Sarah, are you playing a trick on us? But then we get into it and we realize, well, what is music, right? Like, it could be so many
Well, I'll take
things.
the bait and jump in there. I found that very special about this class. You've got a dude named Overlander who takes his Jeep out with a battery and does it out there in nature.
Yep.
Or like, what is music? You had a thing at the end of module 4 about, well, what if you did this outside or you recorded the sound of the birds and the wind? I mean, I find that very profound philosophically in your class. So like, what is music? Even just a sine curve, like that's the really basic tone. Start from there. Start from a reed, because we get super fancy when we get all the wires connected. Well, what is it? Like, is it language or the sound of a whale? Or I find that
Exactly.
philosophical things you dribble in there would be fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really thank you. I'm glad to hear that. And I put it in there because I think it's so valuable for each one of us to really think about for ourselves. I don't tell you the answer. That's the other trick. I I just present options, and then it's up to everyone to really think it through for themselves. And full permission granted to come up with your own definition, right? That's what, again, the subjectivity of art. Yeah, some folks in the chat are saying, so well said, totally relate. So glad to hear it's connecting with all you folks as well.
Awesome.
So now I'm going to go back and ask that question that I was going to ask you before. Now that we have the context around how you were feeling a little bit uncertain, a question that I love to ask people is, if you could travel back in time and talk to yourself a few months ago, what advice would you give yourself? Or if that's not easy for you to imagine, just think of someone else out there who's maybe like, I'm kind of curious about this. Like, I'm nervous. What if I'm too old? What if I'm too late? What if I suck? Just what kind of wisdom or advice would you hand to that person today?
The only bad note is the note you don't play.
Oh, I love that. I think that reminds me of like a Wayne Gretzky quote, which is like, the only shot missed is the shot you don't take, or something.
Right.
Something like that. The only bad note is the note you don't play. So for example, to elaborate, you might as well give it a try, I guess.
Yeah.
That's kind of the essence of that message?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's for the fun. There's lots of reasons. It could be expressing your soul through you playing with no one hears. And of course, apologies to, music camp, where they said music's a combination of sounds and silence, the most important of which is silence.
Right.
So I like the philosophy tying it together. What is music? I like the attempt to try it and not expect it to be perfect. I know some people enjoy polishing things, and that's great too. So just, you be you. It's my message.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. And it's okay if you go on break. In fact, one of the things I appreciated about the class we did together is you said you don't have to meet a certain deadline, because I'm used to other classes where you do, and that kind of helped me get motivated, but I kind of feel burned out at the end. And artists, like, I'm planning to take yours for fun, keep going. It doesn't stop. So that's my advice, is enjoy, but don't be shy. Don't stop.
Don't stop. Yeah. I love that. So I think the big themes for today are making music just for the fun of it is such a valid reason to make music. The other thing you said early on was giving yourself permission to be a beginner. I think that is just so golden. I want to kind of recap that for folks. And enjoying the how fascinating of our mistakes, right? The mistakes, the failures are information. Fail. I think there's another great quote, which is try again, fail better. Just keep seeing how much more you can get from those experiences. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to throw a couple links up on the screen here. The first one is a little long, but soundandsynthesis.com/first synth patch. This is for people who are completely new to the world of synthesis, new to modular synths, and you're like, I don't know, I'm curious. How do I dip a toe? This is completely free. It's a mini course that you can do in under a couple of hours. It will introduce you to what modular synthesis is. It will show you how to make your first synth patch, as the name suggests, using a free program called VCV Rack, which I love. I use VCV Rack in all of my teaching. So definitely recommend checking that out. If you aren't able to grab the link from here for some reason, send me a DM saying mini course and I'll get you the link sent directly to your DMs. And the second thing I'm going to put up on the screen real fast here is just a short version of that URL, soundandsynthesis.com, for folks who are already up and running. Maybe you're still a beginner, but you just kind of know I want to go deep into this. This is the link to the priority list for learning sound and synthesis, which is the class that Agile's been talking about. The next round opens up in late August, but the best thing you can do now is just get yourself on that list and then you'll be notified. And if you have questions, let me know. Drop a comment, send me a DM, anything like that.
My quick question is, I had to say, I was amazed at how much I could do with the free VCV Rack. That was wonderful for me. Another plug for, yeah.
Oh yeah. And neither of us here are working for VCV Rack. It's a great tool. It is free. There's a paid version, but you don't need the paid version to get started. I could not recommend it more. I'm such a fan.
And I heard about that in that class you just gave the link to about the first patch. I thought it was helpful for me to make that step to enjoy it more.
Yeah, great. I love that. Okay, is there anything else that you want to say or share before we wrap up for today?
Fail fast, beginner's mind. That's a thing. We teach both of those in our project management classes, so it applies to music as well. Thank you so much for a great experience. I've really enjoyed it and appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm just going to quickly scroll through and read a couple comments. Music is art and art makes you feel. I love that. Incumbent vinyl. Folks are just shouting you out that you jumped back into things and got started with synthesis. Didn't fall into that I'm too far behind belief. Love that as well. Yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in live. If you're watching the replay, comment replay, drop your comments. We'll see them and get back to them as soon as we can. And Agile, thank you.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Keep going, keep creating. We'll talk to you soon.